Welcome to the Offensive Interference Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Gene Clemens, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the elephant in the room, the thing that everybody can't avoid, and that is coronavirus and how it is affecting our seasons as football players, as football coaches, and different football leagues. First, I want to start by talking a little bit about what's going on with me personally in my world as a football coach. For many of you that don't know, I'm a head football coach in Georgia. We just received word today that our season the start of our season is going to be pushed back to September 3rd. So many of you might be asking yourselves, like, okay, well, or might be saying to yourselves, okay, well, that's not that big a deal. But you have to understand how everything is affected by that. If we push back to September 3rd and we're supposed to still play all 10 of our regular season games, well, my first two games are supposed to start before September 3rd. September 4th is actually my third game of the season. So how are they going to just push the entire season back? My third game is against a team that's not even in the state of Georgia. It's actually in North Carolina. And so does that mean that I'm not able to play that team in North Carolina? Because I know that just because GHSA says that they're going to push things back doesn't mean that North Carolina is following the exact same schedule. So if I can't push back that third game of the season that's supposed to be September 4th, but now that'll be the beginning of our season, and I can't move the two games that are in front of that September 4th game, that means that that's one game I'm definitely going to lose, which means that's one game that my kids don't get an opportunity to be exposed. Obviously, that's not the greatest deal for myself. It's not the greatest deal for my kids, because all of this is about making sure they have the opportunity to get exposure. This is not about championships. It's not about wins and losses. Quite honestly, I wouldn't mind having an 8-game season from a strategic standpoint of having more rest time, more time to prepare for certain opponents. But at the end of the day, our first responsibility as high school athletic coaches is to make sure that our players not only have an enjoyable experience, but that they have an experience that gives them the opportunity to pursue their dreams. That's what we do in the classroom, and that's what we do on the football field. So this schedule being pushed back, I'm not a proponent of it. I'm not a proponent against it. I just want to know what's next. Like, has everything been thought of, or is this just a decision that's being made right now? See, my problem with everything that's been going on, and it's not just the GHSA, it's down in Florida with the FHSAA, it's in Louisiana, it's in Alabama, it's all over the place. Organizations are making decisions haphazardly, but in truth, we were all dealing with this situation back in March. And in March, everybody should have been thinking, because we heard rumblings about, well, this isn't going to be gone by the time we get to the fall. We heard rumblings about it back then in March. Everyone should have sat down and went, what are we going to do if when we get to August, we are in the same boat as we are in right now? Many of these counties didn't do it in the classrooms. Many of these counties didn't do it for their athletic programs. And we're seeing that many of these state athletic programs didn't think of it ahead of time. And if they have, when are they going to tell us? Because we're getting all of this information, it seems, on a week-by-week basis. But this isn't like something where it's a we need to know. We're the people on the front line. We should have access to this information from the beginning. So my issue isn't about it being pushed back if that's what we want to do. I do have reservations about what's being done to ensure that the teams that have already put their schedules together and that their schedules don't mesh with a 2-week pushback, what's being done to make them whole? If it's a situation where I am now going to have to cancel the 2 out-of-state games that I have, one going to Charlotte, one going to Jacksonville, if I have to cancel those 2 games, what's going to fill those spots? Well, guess what? If I had known in, May, April, that was going to be what we did, and so I knew to plan, hey, listen, these are the new dates that we have available. I don't have this date available, and that I could have filled those games with other teams that maybe even could have came home for a home game or that we could have gone to. Part of my job as a coach is to expose my players to everything around football, academics, different types of cultures, different types of experiences, to make sure that they get a full understanding of what it means to be a student athlete. And so I really do value out-of-state games as a way of getting my kids to go and see other parts of our region that they haven't seen before, see other parts of our country that they haven't seen before, go and visit some colleges that they may have never known existed or they didn't have a lot of exposure to get them a better understanding of what they're going to get into in the recruiting process when they're trying to make a decision about what school they want to go to next, whether that's to play football or whether that's to just be a student. All of this gets in the way. If our number one priority is the kids and the kids' safety, then why are we not considering the kids first when we're making these decisions? Again, I have no problem with the decision to push things back. You've got to tell me what's coming next. You can't just say, hey, we're going to push it back and there's more information to come. Because to me, that tells me that you didn't really have anything set. Because if you decide to push it back, the moment you decide to push it back, you should say, we're pushing this back and this is how everything's going to change. To me, when you have an entire summer to work through these things, actually you have a spring and a summer to work through these things, that is something that definitely should be done. I know that the people at the GHSA, and every other state governing body when it comes to athletics, I know that they work hard. I know that their hearts are in the right place. I just feel as if there are certain things that should have been done from people who know that in athletics you have to plan in order to be successful. We'll wait and see what happens. I'm happy that we're still in my state. We're still progressing towards a football season. I'm happy that it hasn't been changed to spring because I feel like that is unfair to spring. I think it's unfair that we're going to be invading on winter sports with the pushback of 2 weeks. However, I am happy that we're still having, at least right now, that we're still having a football season. It'll be interesting to see what comes next. What's the changes that need to be made? And has someone really thought about it and planned out how we're going to take care of this going forward? Now in the NFL, they're dealing with a completely different situation because these are paid athletes and this is a paid entity and everybody understands safety. These are adults. So they are at a higher risk of getting sick than kids are, but we have the caveat of money. We have the caveat of you're being paid to perform. So I have two issues with everything. One is on the side of the NFL and one is on the side of the players. First off, shame on you, NFL. You've known that this was coming forever. Everyone has told you there's no way you're going to be able to do football the way you've done it in the past. There's no way you're going to be able to have fans, blah, blah, blah. There's no way you're going to be able to create a bubble for football. So you've known this was coming. This is the best you've got? You have people who get paid day and night, and the only thing their job is to figure out the logistics of the NFL football season. And this is what you have a week out from reporting, and we don't kind of know. Shame on you to try to haggle over whether or not players should get paid their full salary if they contract coronavirus. Of course they should get paid their full salary if they contract the coronavirus. It shouldn't even be an issue. If a player is not able to perform because of coronavirus, it should be looked at the same way that if a player is not able to perform because they hurt themselves on the field, because ultimately they're putting their health on the line by going out there. Shame on you for not reaching out to see if there is avenues that you can take to ensure that the players feel comfortable about what you're asking them to do in this football season. I don't care about the money you're losing because ultimately you're going to make that money back. You're the NFL. Even without the fans in the stands, you're still going to make enough money for nobody to lose money because you have a salary cap. It's not like the NBA that has a soft cap and maybe some NBA teams are going to take a harder hit than other NFL and NBA teams. It's not like Major League Baseball where there's no cap, so some teams are cash strapped and other teams are fluid because they have more money. No. Every team is essentially the same. Every team. So every team's going to take the same haircut off of ticket sales and everything, but you're all going to receive the same money that you've always had. So this idea that maybe, and I can't say it's 100% true, but that maybe there may be haggling over money and how money's going to be distributed, shame on you. Your players should be your first priority, if for no other reason than you got to protect the thing that makes you the money. Hell, even horses are treated well by the owners. They're treated like royalty by the owners because those owners know that the horse is what makes the money. So even if you wanted to treat a player like property, you should treat them better than you're treating them right now. And that is a shame. And that's why people don't look at the NFL and the NFL's owners and believe they have the best interests of the players ever in mind. And that's why I always side with the players when it comes to money or no money. Now, players, you have to be smart about this situation. You're a professional athlete. You have a responsibility to your team, but you also have a responsibility to your Inc., to XYZ Players Name Inc., and that is to your money. Now, as a teacher and a journalist and a coach, I don't make nearly the same amount of money. And I'm not here to tell you that, oh, you make so much money, so this stuff shouldn't matter to you. It should matter to you. You know how much it should matter to you? It should matter to you so much that it doesn't matter what the NFL does, that you protect yourself. I'm not going to even get into the numbers, but I've done a little quick math on how much it would cost to rent a place for 4 or 5 months to get you through the football season where you don't go home to your wife and kids. We're asking the NBA people to be in a bubble. We're asking MLS and WNBA and the women's soccer league to be in bubbles where they're not seeing their families. Why can't you quarantine to make sure that you don't get your family sick or that you don't get if you're not in a position to be able to afford to have some type of separate housing, then those people that you love need to respect that this is the way that you have to make generational wealth. And every year that you miss is a year that you're not able to make that generational wealth. So, you know what, Russell Wilson? Your wife's pregnant with another child. Guess what your wife's done before? Your wife's had a child before. Guess what you can afford? Childcare. Guess you can afford nannies and butlers to make sure that she is taken care of. And you can do what you're supposed to do to continue to earn the generational wealth for your family. 4 months away, 5 months away, gets you that 25, $30 million that you're getting paid a year. Now, if you decide that you don't want to take that money because you don't want to put your family at risk, I would never tell you, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Russell Wilson decided not to play the NFL season. I would applaud you. But if you're going to play, you need to set yourself up so that you and your family are as protected as possible. Don't wait for the NFL. We already know that the NFL doesn't care about you. The NFL doesn't care. We know that they don't care. We've seen that they don't care. So why are you trying to make it seem like we don't know? We know. The NFL doesn't care. They're never going to care. They care about the bottom line. You should care, but you should also put yourself in a position if you want to play football. Like J.J. Watt says that you want to play football. If you want to play football, then you need to set yourself up to be successful. I know players who have been traded or signed free agent deals in other states. Their family stays back at home in the state that they call home. They get a place in that other state for the season. They stay there, and when the season's over, they go back to home. Why would it be any different now? I'm in Seattle. I live in Seattle, somewhere around Seattle. I know that me going out there and being around these people might put my family in jeopardy. So for the foreseeable future, during this season, I am going to quarantine myself away from my family and use all of the means that I have to be able to communicate and all that stuff with them. You're going to be tested regularly. You're going to have responsibilities. You have an opportunity to separate yourself from your family for a good reason. It is so that you can continue to build this generational wealth. I can't tell you what to do. I would never tell anybody what to do. I can just tell you if it was me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to get this money. I'm going to make sure I secure myself and my family so that we're safe. I'm going to make sure that I get that generational wealth so that we can become the wealthy 1% years and years and years and years, or millennia down the line, because we've been able to generate enough wealth that I can pass it down from generation to generation. That's just me. I think all of the let me rephrase that. I think most of the players are in position to do so. And I think that the players that are not in position to have a home and an apartment should just be getting an apartment that they're there by themselves. And they tell everybody else, we'll see you after the season. Now, finally, I look at college football. College football is different, in my opinion, because college football has an opportunity to do things in a manner that isolates them from the rest of the world, because they have a campus. And at most universities, especially Division I, FBS, and many FCS universities, they have an athletics dorm. So not only are they self-contained in these athletics dorms, they can the school can set up their dorm life any way they would want to ensure that people stay to themselves, or at least to try to ensure that people stay to themselves. They also don't have to gallivant all over the country to play each other, Because in almost every state, you're going to find multiple Division I programs. I just think about the state of Georgia. You have Georgia, you have SEC, Georgia SEC, you have Georgia Tech, ACC, you have Georgia Southern, you have Georgia State. Bordering around the area, close, you have Alabama and Auburn, UAB. You could go north to Carolina where you have North Carolina, you have South Carolina, you have Clemson, you have Wake Forest, you have all of those ACC teams, SEC teams up in Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. You have a way of putting together a regional schedule that allows you to stay close to home and monitor your people. You should have been thinking about this forever ago. From the moment that the NCAA basketball tournament was shut down, the NCAA football conferences should have been thinking about closing the loop. Instead, people sat on their hands and they waited. They wanted to see what happens. Whenever you are reactionary, whenever you react instead of being proactive, you always lose. Proactive wins on a football team. We as coaches tell our players, be first, get off fast, be first. Well, guess what we did as football entities? We sat back and we reacted. We were counterpunchers, but this isn't bad. This isn't boxing. You can't sit back and wait for a punch to be thrown to see if you can weave it and then react, because by that time you're getting hit with 3, 4, 5 other punches. So now college football is in a situation where people go, I don't know how you can have college football because there's no way you're going to be able to control these young men and women that aren't getting paid. Well, guess what? If you had created an environment that was enclosed and created an idea of a schedule that allowed your players to navigate a football season within a region rather than having to go across country, where you don't have to get on planes, you can take buses to places, or if you're taking a plane, you're just hopping from one city to another, where you're able to kind of keep a better understanding of what your kids are doing and then how that works with the student body. You could have sold a season. Now, it doesn't matter what you do. Anything you do now is going to be considered you doing something that's not in the best interest of the kids, even if what you're doing is 100% in the best interest of those young men and women. You have set yourselves up, NCAA, and all of the conferences in it, to be looked at like all you care about is money. I 100% do not believe that everybody involved in the NCAA only cares about money. I believe that people in the NCAA care about the safety and welfare of the kids, the experience of the kids, but you can't deny the fact that everything you're doing now looks like a cash grab. It doesn't look as if you have the kids' best interest at heart. And all of that could have been avoided if you were proactive. Look at what the NAIA did. They wasted no time. They said, hey, we're going to reduce the schedule. They did that so long ago that every NAIA coach knows what they're doing now. There is no mistake in what's happening. There is no misunderstandings of what's going on. They understand it. The NCAA, the bigger, stronger, more powerful, more financially responsible, not responsible, but more financially straight organization decided to sit and wait. And they sat and wait, and they were rolling the dice, and they rolled snake eyes. And now the fallout is going to be one that you're not ready for and that you won't be able to handle. What are you going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, for the Offensive Interference Podcast. I've been Coach Gene Clemens. Everything that we do across this this webcast is for coaches, for football people who just love to talk about the game. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Our NAIA Spotlight, the first episode is dropped today with Ryan Hart and Coach Miller over at Ryan Hart University in Georgia. Please check that out. You'll see many, many more of those NAIA Spotlights pop up over the next few days, over the next few weeks, as I begin to try to put more spotlight on NAIA football and the many great universities that are involved there. The only way to make sure you don't miss anything is to subscribe to the channel, is to like it, so that every time you look on YouTube, you got a Coach Gene Clemens video that's popping up. We really do appreciate your support of what we're doing. We're steadily climbing towards 1,000 subscribers, and we want you to be one of them. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Prepare yourselves accordingly.